Good morning, students. In the previous class, welcome to Purna Chandra Higher Secondary School. In the previous session of my video lecture, we have discussed about the drag velocity, the current density, and the electric current. Okay. So in this class, we have discussed a very important part, that is the relationship between drag velocity and current, which is from the problem point of view is also very important. Okay. So listen very carefully, students. So for this, to find out this relationship between drag velocity and current, so let us take the same figure which I have taken in the last video. So this is my conductor. Let us take a conductor. This is a conductor XY. Okay. Look at the figure very carefully. So I have to take a conductor XY whose length is L. Okay, and whose area I have taken A. Clear? Then in this, when this conductor is connected to a voltage supply or when it is applied to electric field, clear? Then the electrons from the negative terminal will move into or will drifted into towards the positive terminal, which I have discussed in the previous class. Okay, so by this we will get get the concept of drag velocity, which we have already discussed. Okay, so drag velocity is the velocity of electrons, okay, in the presence of electric field. That is important. Okay, so now we have to find out, and due to this flow of electrons, there is a current which is flowing from positive terminal to negative terminal. So electrons are flow from or drifted from negative terminal to positive terminal, and due to this the current flows from positive terminal to negative terminal. Very simple. And we have to find out the relationship between this drag velocity of the electron in the presence of electric field, okay, and the current flowing in the circuit. Clear? Okay. So one by one I have to go. So first of all, I have to assume, now suppose N is the number of electrons that are free electrons actually. Okay, so number of free electrons per unit volume, that is very important one, per unit volume of the conductor. I have to assume that. Now suppose N is the number of free electrons per unit volume inside the conductor. Clear? So if L is the length of the conductor and A is the area of the conductor, then what will be the volume of the conductor? And I can easily find out the volume of the conductor becomes this area A into L. Very simple. Okay? And N is the number of electrons per unit volume. Then if or other the number of electrons for conduction okay, that is equal to how much? So number of electrons is your N, and this is per unit volume. So if I will multiply this volume, okay, then this is per unit volume and this is into volume, so volume cancel out, and I will get the number of electrons very easily. So that's why the number of electrons for conduction is equal to how much? Now NaL. Clear? Okay. So the number of electrons for conduction inside this conductor XY becomes how much? Now N into the area of the conductor and into the length of the conductor. Clear? And this is the first one. Then come to the second part. We know that the charge of electron become how much? Denoted as E, and its value, I think all of you know, that is 1.6 into 10 to the minus 90, the magnitude. And if you don't get the magnitude, this is minus 1.6 into 10 to the minus 90. So charge of electron becomes this. Okay. So number of electron becomes this and the charge of electron becomes this. Then what is the total charge passing through this conductor? I have to find out. So let us find out. So if the total charge, let us take it as Q. So the total charge Q is equal to the charge of electron. Very simple. And the number of electrons. So number of electrons is NaL. Okay. So NaLe is the total amount of charge flowing or present inside the conductor. Clear? Okay. So this is the first point, number of electrons. Second point, the charge of electron. And the third one, I have to find out the total charge present inside this conductor, that is NaLe. Very simple. Okay. The next, total charge I have found. The next, I have to find out the time. Okay. The time required to pass the charge from one terminal to another, of this negative terminal to this positive terminal. So let us find out what is my time to take the charge and the negative charges or the amount of charge passing through the conductor. Let us find out. So next the time. Next I have to find out the time in which, let us take it as t. So the time t in which the charge is passing through the conductor. Okay, and the time t, you can take it as small t. Let us take it as small t, it is better. Okay, so let the time small t is equal to how much? The total length of the conductor. Okay, that is the charge passing through this length from this to this. Okay, L divided by the velocity. This is the formula, S by V. The velocity. So the time, again I will repeat, the time required to pass the charges through the conductor become the time t is equal to L by Vd. Clear? So total number of charges I will get, the time I will get. Okay. The next what I have to find out? I have to find out the current. The next part I have to find out the current. Then current is from the definition of current. So the current passing through this conductor XY, let us take it as I. So what is the formula of your current? Current is equal to Q by T, that is the charges passing through the conductor divided the time required. Okay. So Q by T, I is equal to Q by T. So that is equal to, so Q I will get this much, that is NaLe divided by T, that is L divided by Vd. This much. Okay, so this is my current. I is equal to Q by T. So Q, I find out this one, NaLe divided by the time I will get L by Vd. Very simple. So current I have found out. Now what are the things? Let us take a summary. So number of electrons, this much. Charge, this much. Total charges passing through this conductor become this much. Then the time will become this, and the current I will get this. Okay. So now look at here. So now I have to just solve this one. So look at here. So let us solve this. So these L cancel out. So N A L become cancelled out. So N A V D E. This much. So this is the current. So what is the relationship I will get? What is the relationship? What is the relationship? So, okay, finally the current I is equal to N A V D E. So this is my final equation I found out. Okay, and this is the relationship between, this is the relationship between the drip velocity and the electric current. I is equal to NaVDE. Remember, this is very important. Okay, now one more very important thing is that, so this is the relationship I will get in between the drip velocity and current. This Vd is my drip velocity, I is the current. Suppose I have to find out from this what is the relationship between current density and drip velocity. In simple, what I will do, as we know that the current density is denoted as J. Okay, so J is equal to the current passing through the conductor per unit area. This is my current density, I by A. So that is equal to NaVDE divided by A. So these cancel out. So what happens? So what I will get? Now NVDE. So this is another important relationship. Okay, so remember dear students, this derivation whatever I have done here, this is very important from the problem point of view. So what are the things? First I have to find out what is the amount of charge. Okay, what is the total amount of charge there? Then what is the time taken to pass the charges through the conductor? Okay, then next I have to find out the current. Then from this current, this I is equal to NAVDE, and this relationship is very important from the problem point of view and also exam point of view. So I is equal to NAVD. VD is nothing but your velocity into E, and this is the relationship between current and drip velocity, and this relationship is in between current density and drip velocity. Remember this is okay. So this derivation is very important. Okay. So this is all about, or this is how we will find out the relationship between drip velocity and current density. Okay. Now from this relation we are moving into a very important concept. So all of you just have a look into the relation between this. So from this relation of current and drip velocity, I have to get a very interesting concept, that is your Ohm's law. From this. How? Let us find out. Okay. So before going to the Ohm's law, let us little bit solve it. So we know that what is the expression of drip velocity. In the previous class we have already derived. In the previous class we have already derived the expression of your drip velocity. So what is the expression? Now Vd is equal to E m into tau. Okay, that is the charge of electron, that is the electric field intensity divided the mass of electron into the transit time. Okay, so that is your time required for one collision. So Vd is equal to, in the previous class I have already derived this relationship, Vd is equal to this much. So let us put this relation here. Suppose I will take it as equation number 1. So let us put this value of Vd in equation number 1. So what I will get? I will get I is equal to N A. So in place of Vd I have to put this. So that is E divided by M into tau, and finally this is your E. So this relationship I have to I got, okay, that is I is equal to NAE divided by M into tau into E. This relationship I have to get. Clear? Okay. Now one more very important thing is that this E is the electric field intensity, and electric field intensity, we know that electric field intensity is the potential divided by the length of the conductor. The potential whatever given here, V divided the length of the conductor, E is equal to V by L. Already from the concept of potential we know that E is equal to V by L. So this I have to put here. Okay, so that is equal to, so N A E, and this is G, so that will be E square, N A E square, and in place of E I have to put this, that is V tau divided by M L. Okay, so this finally we got this, that is current I is equal to N A E square M L tau into V. Okay, so now let us little bit rearrange it, then we will got a very interesting one. So there, look at here, so I is equal to, let us rearrange it. Okay, so let us take the potential of V out. So what is the rest thing there? N A E square tau divided by ml, and I have to put a bracket there, and outside it I have to write there V. So what inside this bracket, look at very carefully students, what inside this bracket, that thing remains constant for a conductor. Okay, so what inside this bracket, this thing, this bracket things remains constant for a conductor, for any conductor. Okay, so that's why this is a constant. So if I will take, this is equation number 2, then I can write where, look at it, where ML divided by NA E square tau. Let us take the reciprocal one. So ML divided by NA E square tau is a constant. That constant I will take it as R. Okay, so as this whole thing, this whole bracket thing is a constant, that's why let us take this constant as R. ML divided by NA E square tau. This is your tau. Okay, I will take it as R. So R. So if I will take it as R, then this equation number 2 becomes what? Now that implies I is equal to V divided by R. Okay, and these R, look at, all of you look at here, this R is known as, this constant R is known as resistance of this conductor. This R is known as resistance of this conductor. Okay, so from this, as this is a constant, so from this I will get the concept of what? The Ohm's law. So what Ohm's law says, again I will repeat, what Ohm's law says, now at a constant temperature the current I is directly proportional to the potential. Remember, at constant temperature, okay, of a conductor, the current I is directly proportional to the voltage or potential of that conductor. I proportional to V. Okay, so that implies from this relation I can easily write down V is equal to IR. Okay, V is equal to IR. So this V is equal to IR is a very important relationship which we will get from Ohm's law. Okay, clear? So what Ohm's law, again I will repeat, what Ohm's law states that, now Ohm's law states that at a constant temperature, okay, at a constant temperature, the steady current I which is flowing inside this conductor is directly proportional to the potential. Okay, is directly proportional to the potential across this conductor. I proportional to V. Okay, and that is equal to I is equal to, and this remains a constant. This constant is nothing but your R. Okay, and this R is called resistance of this conductor. Clear? Okay, so resistance, this R I will take R. So this is your resistance, and finally what I got? Now I got that V is equal to IR. Clear? So now if from this relationship, if I will draw a graph in between, look at here. If I want to draw a graph in between, so this is your origin, this is your x-axis, this is your y-axis. Let us take in the x-axis the V as your variable, okay, and in y-axis let us take I as your variable. And we know that in Ohm's law, the I is directly proportional to V. Okay, so that's why the I and V versus graph becomes a straight line. Remember, always the substance or the conductor which satisfy the Ohm's law, in this case the I and V are directly related, and the graph should be a straight line. Remember this. Okay, so from this I is directly proportional to V, so I will get a straight line. That means what amount of I, look at here, what amount of I will get here. Suppose I will take a point A here, that amount of V I will also, so this is your I1, so this is your V1, and similarly it will increase. If this is I2, this is V2. So the V and I increases. Remember, the V and I increases linearly, not exponentially. It should be increases linearly. So the Ohm's law, from this concept Ohm's law, it is very much clear that in a conductor, okay, in a conductor the current the current, the steady current, important that is the steady current, that means the constant current, okay, directly proportional to V, and I will get a which type of graph? The linear graph. Clear? I think all of you clear about this one also. Okay, so from this relationship, I will get the concept of Ohm's law, and from the Ohm's law, I will get this X. Is a very important one. Clear? Okay, so now from this Ohm's law, a very important variable or a very important concept I will get, that is the resistance. Okay, previously we have in the previous lectures we have discussed about capacitance. Okay, so as the capacitance is a very important properties of any material, similarly the resistance is also important property of a conductor, okay, of any material. Clear? So resistance means resist. Resistance, the physical meaning of resistance means how it will resist the flow of charges. Okay, resist means if the resistance value is less, very simply, if the resistance value is less, that means the flow of charges is more. If the resistance value of a conductor or a material is less, then the flow of charges is more. If the flow of charges is more, then the current flow is more. Very simple. Okay, but if the conductor resistance value, the resist value is more, then current value or the flow of charges become less. Clear all of you? Okay. So now from this concept, let us move into a very interesting one. That is from this resistance concept, I have to move a very important concept about how the resistance of a conductor. Remember how the resistance of a conductor depends upon the length and area. Look at this. Very good. So now the resistance is, remember, the resistance is directly proportional to the length of the conductor. Okay, and the resistance is inversely proportional to the area of the conductor. Remember, this is a very two important concept. Resistance of a conductor is directly proportional to the length of the conductor. The resistance of the conductor is the resistance of the conductor is inversely proportional to the area of the conductor. Okay, so the diply H, what I can write? Now resistance is proportional. If I combine these two, then R is proportional to L by A. Clear? The diply H, then R. If I equate it, then I have to put a proportionality constant here. So let us take the proportionality constant as rho. So R is equal to rho L divided by A. Clear? Okay. So now again I will repeat. This R is directly proportional to the length of the conductor. The R is inversely proportional to the area of the conductor. Then I will combine these two. Then R is proportional to L by A. And if I equate it, I have to take a proportionality constant. Very simple. Okay. So what? By taking the proportionality constant, I will get a very interesting formula. R is equal to rho L by A. And what the proportionality constant rho is? Now the proportionality, remember the proportionality constant rho, your rho, what I have taken here is called a specific, the rho is called your specific resistance or your electrical resistivity. Remember, this rho is called specific resistance or electrical resistivity. Okay, so remember that is the rho, the proportionality constant rho is called a specific resistance or electrical resistivity of the conductor. Clear all of you? Okay, so now there is a question in your mind. Just sir, how we already defined R, but how we will define rho? That means what is specific resistance or electrical resistivity? So let us define it. You can define it very simple way. So from this Look at here. So if I will take L is equal to 1 meter, if I will take L is equal to 1 meter and A is equal to 1 meter square. Again I will repeat, if I will take L is equal to 1 meter, then A is equal to 1 meter square. I have to put this value in this equation. Let us put the value in this equation. So what I will get? Now R is equal to rho. So this is 1, this is 1. So that means, that implies R is equal to rho. Okay. So let us take equation number anything A. Okay. So what did the equation say? Look at here. From this equation A, we can easily define the specific resistance or electrical resistivity. So how we can define? Now the electrical resistivity or the specific resistance can be defined as the resistance offered by the conductor. Okay. The resistance offered by the conductor whose length is 1 unit and area is 1 unit square. Again I will repeat, the specific resistance or electrical resistivity of a conductor can be defined as the resistance offered by the conductor. Which conductor? Current flowing conductor. That is very important one. That conductor must, that is not a isolated conductor. The conductor must flowing some current. Okay. So current flowing conductor of unit length and having unit surface area, cross sectional surface area. Okay, stop. So that's why this is very important. That is the specific resistance and electrical resistivity. Clear all of you? Okay. So now, so R is the resistance of the conductor. Rho is the specific resistance or electrical resistivity of the conductor. Then, suppose I will take the reciprocal of R. Remember. Suppose I will get 1 by R. Okay, remember the reciprocal of resistance is called conductance of the conductor. The reciprocal of resistance is called conductance. The unit of resistance is ohm according to the scientist. Okay, ohm. So that's why the unit of conductance is ohm inverse or mho. Clear all of you? Clear all of you? Okay. So now, so three things we have discussed: resistance, then specific resistance or electrical resistivity, then reciprocal of resistance is called conductance. Okay. Then resistance unit is ohm. Then reciprocal of resistance is conductance whose unit is ohm inverse. Clear all of you? Okay. So now, what is the reciprocal of this? So let us find out. That means what is the reciprocal of resistivity or specific resistance? That is equal to, remember, conductivity. That is sigma. Okay. The conductivity. So the reciprocal of specific resistance or electrical resistivity is your sigma and it is called conductivity. This is conductance whose unit is ohm inverse or mho. But what is the unit of conductance? So let us find out. So now look at here. Again I will go to this relation. Look at this carefully. So what is specific resistance? Rho is equal to RA divided by L. The R unit is ohm. Okay, this is your meter square. This is your meter. So that is ohm into meter. Very simple. Whose unit? Now specific resistance or electrical resistivity unit is ohm meter. Then now what is the reciprocal of this? Conductivity. This is your conductivity. Okay, so what is the unit of conductivity? The unit of conductivity is sigma, because this the resistivity is ohm meter. So this is very simple. That is ohm inverse meter inverse or mho into meter inverse. Very simple. Clear? All of you clear? So again, just little bit take a summary. I will take it. So what are the things we have discussed here? Now first of all we have discussed the relationship between drip velocity and current, which is very important. From this relationship we got the relationship between current density and drip velocity. Okay, and from this we are moving to the Ohm's law. And in the Ohm's law what I got? Now I got the relationship between I and V. That is I and V are directly proportional. Okay, for a conductor. Okay, and the graph becomes a linear graph. Now from this relationship I find out the resistance of a conductor is directly proportional to the length of the conductor and inversely proportional to the area of the conductor. From this I have got a very interesting your constant proportionality constant, that is called specific resistance and electrical resistivity, and this thing we already discussed. Clear? Okay, so now these things we have discussed. In the last part of this video we will move into, that is a superconductor. Okay, just is a very simple thing, superconductor. And one very important thing, dear students, remember, these specific resistance or electrical resistivity value is different for different material. If we will move into different, suppose I will take golds, we can take a semiconductor also. So for every material to material, the specific resistance value is different. It cannot be said. Okay, so now let us move into a very interesting, the last part of our this video lecture, that is superconductivity or superconductivity. Okay, so what is superconductivity? Let us discuss first. Now there are some materials, suppose I will take any metal. Okay, so there are some material or substances whose conductivity becomes infinite at a certain temperature. At a certain temperature means at a certain lower temperature, not higher temperature. Okay, so now what is superconductivity? Now superconductivity is the property of a substance in which the conductor or the conductivity of that material becomes extends to infinite, or the resistivity or the resistance of the material become zero at some certain temperature. That temperature is called critical temperature. Clear? Okay, so that is very important concept, superconductivity. Again I will repeat, the superconductivity is the property, okay, of any substance or a material in which the resistance of the material becomes zero and the conductivity becomes infinite. Okay, and the materials which exhibit the superconductivity, they are called superconductors. Clear? Let us, and the temperature at which the substance become conductor to superconductor, the temperature is called critical temperature or transition temperature, denoted as TC. The temperature at which the substance becomes conductor to or transit to superconductor. Okay, then the conductivity remains infinite. If the conductivity becomes infinite, then the resistivity becomes zero almost. Okay, so that temperature is called critical temperature. Let us take an example of your superconductor. The superconductor examples becomes mercury, tin. Okay, so these mercury, tins, these are the, and the alloy of this material also, they can get or they can acquire the property of superconductivity at a certain temperature. For example, mercury. Okay, so mercury will get the superconductivity at a temperature of 4.2 Kelvin. Remember. Okay, so after at this temperature 4.2 Kelvin, the mercury becomes superconductor, behaves like a superconductor. That means the resistance value becomes, electrical resistance value becomes zero, and the conductivity value or the conductance value becomes infinite. Clear all of you? So it's a very important property, that is a superconductor, and the use of superconductor is very now in the practical field. How Now these superconductor is were used to generate the generators, high power generators, and these remember these high power generators are little bit different from our conventional generators because these are small in size but very powerful. Number one. Number two, these superconductor are also used to design or to manufacture the memory units of the computers. Okay, so these are some of the your practical examples or practical applications of your superconductors. Okay, thank you.